Airbus presentation. So I'm still, my name is still Stephane Mahmoudi, and I'm replacing Pierrick. So the presentation was, I mean, all this solution has been built by Airbus HR due to a context, a specific context. So first, it's Airbus has so much people, so much data, so much parts, as you have seen with the X-bomb before, the bill of material. There is a lot of data that are generated, collected, and it's so complex to manage that. And there is a digital twin transformation in the manufacturing, but there is a digital twin digital transformation in the HR in the HR part. And Airbus is using all the skill of the people, all the data that is describing the people inside the organization internally or externally, to be able to push those data and build new applications to support their development. So the way they are doing that is basically they was wanted to really go back to their challenge, which is there is a lot of things about the GDPR that was not applicable. They don't know really, as it's a point-to-point integration from the SAP systems. So who are the applications that are using the data from employees? And 5 years after, they don't know what data are used. And they want to build a new services, so new applications can be defined. And there is the IT view, which is, so basically one thing that was important for them is to move from SAP HR to a Workday. And of course, this is a migration project. And they was thinking, yes, but there is 800 interfaces that are done in SAP point-to-point to deliver data to be consumed by 130 applications. So what are we going to do about those interfaces? And the things that they have done is that they was wanted to really be able to put in place the GDPR, to have the personal information that are tagged, and we know what are the tag, the personal information, and they was wanted to have the time to market, to secure self-service, so people can come and say, I need to have this data, and this data from the HR to build my application, but of course in a secured way, to have not too much integration one-to-one, but really to have some things where they can see what has been done, and if the application is out of order and not used anymore, that they can know what are the data that was used by this application. And one thing that we heard today a lot, they build their model of HR. They was not wanted to have a Workday HR model or an SAP HR model that are very good model for the operational things. But what they want to do is to have a simple place where they can really control their HR model and populate the data inside. So based on that, what they have done is that they think about, so our digital transformation is about data governance. What means data governance? It means that we need to have the data security on the data. We need to have a compliance, so the GDPR and all these type of things. We need to have the quality. We need to have a repository, like a data catalog, and we need to have a data policy. Who is using the data during how much times? What type of application is using the data and for what? And that's what gives the part of the data strategy. And the things after, in the part of the IT, what they wanted to have is to be able to push those data in the cloud, even if it's not done yet. They think about that, to have the performance, to be to have access to all the data, be able to do some things interface by interface and not doing all the interface in once, be able to do an agile way and have a visualization, like a big data visualizations, seeing the things from cornerstones, from SAP HR, from their typical alphabet inventory of applications, and seeing the data as an asset. And to do that, they was thinking about putting a data hub that is really concentrate all the data catalog where all is defined, and after they can consume the real data from this point of view. And for that, they put that all the things, which is they need to have the harmonization, they need to have the security model, the distribution of that, the monitoring, the data lineage, the traceability, be able to have a cartography of all the interfaces, and be able to have the quality of the data for the consumer, because the data quality is inside the operational systems, but for the consumer, they need to change the quality data. And that's what they put in action and in motion. He has done a very nice slide. I like this one. So the things about the services they have provided is that really about the data quality management. So what was the features they want to have? They want to have a KPI to be sure how much data are with the right quality, all the type of things of standardizations, be sure that they have all the data. And for them, the big things was to have a trusting data, because they need to consume trusted data with the right quality, and be sure that they are using data that are okay. So and for who? For the data owner. So the data harmonizations, the same things. So if you want to harmonize data, but you want to harmonize in which view? The view was their data model, their vision of how they organize the organizations, people, skills, and so on, and be connected to the data dictionary. So this is a very important part, because this is where we put the ontology, the semantic part, and this is where they can manage the data in the way they want to manage it, and not being obliged to use a data model that is coming from the operational systems. And there on this type of things, everybody is really included, because the security officer will have his security model on that, on the data model. So what can be used or not, by who, for what. The data custodian can really do is a data catalog. The data owner can see how his data are used. And of course, the project manager can build a new project consuming those data, and the employees can be sure that we are not using their personal information. So data protection and security rules, that's everything that is put inside the data catalog. So in fact, the data security, the data model, or the rules of the security, it's done on the catalog. So you don't need to do some things on the application that consume it, because this is exactly inside the data model. And this is a contextualization. So depending of the usage, the data security will be a little bit different, because the usage is more for defense or for property, intellectual property, or this type of things. So the distribution was thinking about how can I do a self-service by delivering a batch, a real-time subscriptions with a validation process, a workflow, and they have developed on top of the hub. They have developed an applications to do the workflow, and that is managed by the security officer and the custodian. The monitoring to know where are the data that are used, and what's happened if something is going down, and all the cartography, which is very linked to that. So so it was planned to do demonstrations, and of course, we cannot do a demonstration outside the Airbus network. This is a very protected things. So Pierrick gave me the license to use a demonstration by slide. So how it is working? So this is the interface of the People Datahub in Airbus, and the first things is to enrich the data inside the abstract model. So basically, there is a data catalog, and the data catalog is defining all the elements and attributes that are there with the organization, the employees. And for each attribute, they will put the level of security, the personal information, which is very specific to Airbus, putting the domain, which is the classification of the data. So it's, I think for people that are talking about semantic before, I think it's something similar. And when they have done this data data catalog, when they have enriched the data, tagged the data, or the metadata, I will say. So there they can really put more and more information on each data, metadata. And there they can consume trusted HR data. So the consumption, how it is working, this is the self-service, and you want to create an interface. So the things that you're going to do is that first, you're going to choose which type of interface, if it's a batch or real time of their own systems of file transfer. But of course, if you do that, you need to say that you have there an application inventory. In Airbus, it's Alphabet. And you can select what is the application that will consume those data. Once you have done, once you have done that, you will say, what is your distribution? Do you distribute those data for using in the cloud? And what is the type of applications or API you are doing on that? So the name of the API. And there you're going to select the data you have the right to do, because when you ask for that, for the self-service, it will see who you are, what is your privilege, and there you can check all the data you have access to. So you select your information, and there you have your data that is putting there, and you will now give some information about those data, how much time you're gonna use it, so during 2 years and so on, what is for each type of information, what is the delay to not use after this data set. And there you're going to really take the data and drag and drop how you want to have it. This is a batch file as an example. So this is a column oriented. And there you ask for all these type of things. And there you go in the next steps to say, okay, those data will be used by an application, but first I will use for an integration environment, development, production, and so on. So I can put some fake data. So all the data I have talked about before was metadata. There is nothing inside. So now we can use the fake data or the real one, and there we're going to do the mapping from the real data to the metadata model. And when you have done, so you will pass through the workflow and to be able to use this trusted data. And there, this is the list of requests that the chief security officer or custodian, data custodian can have, depending of the type of the data, and they can approve or reject or ask for more information before the data are really consumed. So now the real world is, okay, I use those data, I select my metadata, I push it, I'm going in integration and production, and now I use really the data. So I would like to know who is using the data now, or which type of application. So there, if I'm going to the data, which is the corporate ID, so this is normally a data that is really used because this is an ID. So we can see that there is 42 results, and this is all the type of application that are using this data. And all these type of application are coming from the definition we have inside Alphabet that are inside the inventory. And you can go more on it and really go on one application and see what it is and what is the type of application. Yes, I did it very quickly, more quickly probably than Pierrick. So, and like this, we are on time, but that's the end of this experience sharing.